The Strut is live. Guys, we're not a day late and a dollar short. We're just taking our time, getting ready for the big show that we have ready for you tonight. So, if you've been on social media, been watching the sports news around Coastal, you know the reason for the show on a Thursday night, TD and Joe, at our regular time, different day, it'd have to be a special deal. We are proud to announce Coastal has announced their new head football coach, Ryan Beard, is coming to us from Missouri State. A little bit of background, then we'll get into the discussion if that's okay with you guys. I compiled some stats, excuse me, and some information about him. We are pleased to announce Ryan Beard as our new coach. Over the last 3 seasons at Missouri State, he was 19-16, 7-5 mark in 2025. We'll talk more about that in a second. I know he secured the first bowl invitation in school history there before he was the head coach. He was Missouri State's defensive coordinator, where he sustained defensive success, contributed to multiple playoff appearances while they were FCS. Prior to his coaching career, defensive back at Western Kentucky, he began coaching in 2012, which includes stops at Western Kentucky, Louisville, and Central Michigan before arriving in Missouri State. Guys, we got a young head coach this time around too. We don't have a guy who's been around the block a long time or whatever. This guy, he's got a little bit of experience, but from what we're hearing about his resume, and I've got a couple more bits to share with you as far as that information goes. Um, what a young talent, and he's being called by one sports outlet one of the promising young leaders in college football right now. He is a coach. This is a quote: proven ability to develop talent, build competitive teams, and elevate every program he leads. So we are again happy to announce, TD and Joe, Teal Nation, Strut Nation, that the fifth head coach in Coastal history is the first head coach with a beard, and his name is Beard. He's the third coach to begin with the letter B. I thought that was pretty cool. And he's also the second coach, Joe and TD, correct me if I'm wrong. He's the second coach in Coastal history to go from one head coaching position to the head coaching position at Coastal, Coach Bennett being the other one. So, once again, we are proud to welcome Coach Ryan Beard from Missouri State to Conway to lead Teal Nation. Joe and TD, people are wanting to hear what we got to say, so let's let them have it.
I think I was fortunate enough to I got another 15 minutes with Chance tonight. I was sitting on the front porch. Chance told me, like he did last time, he would call me when the decision was made, and I appreciate him honoring that. He didn't give me anything he shouldn't, but he gave me some insight. I can convey this. There will be a presser early next week, so I don't steal any thunder there. But what he did tell me that I can convey here to you all right now live is there were 30 plus interested candidates that submitted their interest to Coastal. They narrowed it down twice, as you would do with any executive hiring, right? It doesn't matter if it's a head coach or a CEO of a hospital. Each time that they filter through those, Coach Beard kept rising to the top every time. He kept showcasing why he was a perfect fit for this. Things that were of intrigue was his understanding how to punch above his weight with resources, right? Missouri State did a good job in their transition. Chili, you touched on his wins and losses, and I've seen some social media about you're not going to Teal Troubadour, shout out to them. You're not going to be impressed with his wins and losses. But what you should be impressed is he was 8-4 in the first year of a 2-year transition, then 7-5, and got them bowl eligible in their first bowl eligible season. Well, TD, that's Conference USA. I don't care what conference it is. You still got to get 7 eligible wins and go to a bowl, right? That's one thing. He understands the current landscape of college football, right? He understands NIL. He understands the portal. He understands culture in a locker room. I got it on good account, too, that not from chance, but from another source, when the name hit the wire and was confirmed, there was a tremendous amount of positive energy that reverberated through the team in the locker room. Not physically in the locker room, but figuratively speaking, but on the team. The guy brings a lot of juice. He brings a chip on the shoulder. And I'll say it now, and I know it's early. If he does what he's capable of doing, we may not be able to hold on to him in about 4 years or 5. And we've touched on the profile in this. And dude, if he does right by us like he's done by Missouri State, and if you go check the social media outside of one jackass, I think the other probably 19 or 20 posts on there have been appreciative, thankful, grateful, understanding, wishing the best. We're going to be a Missouri State and Coastal fan. We didn't get that last time. Let's call that what it is. We're getting a guy that's trending. And that's what we want, right? We touched on the profile that Chance flat out said, we're looking for a young, innovative guy, got some juice, punches above his weight, has G5 experience, but been around some P4s. Chili, you're going to touch on the resume. I know Joe will too. This guy was there from the beginning, and he understands that there is, and as much as I hate to acknowledge this, but I will use reference. I'm going to kick it to Joe. They sold him on that there is a path to the playoff, just like JMU through the Sun Belt. And with the other coaching hires in the Sun Belt, let me tell you something. The next couple of years in the Sun Belt could get back to where it was the last 3 or 4 years and get back on that upswing again, where it gets real tough real quick and gets a real high-profile conference back to where it should be. But there is a path, and as much you got to tip your cap to JMU, we'd have been there in 2020. We all know that. We would have been in the playoff in 2020. They got there in 2025. There is a path. And I'm going to touch on things. We're going to go around the horn, but what he's done offensively and defensively as a head coach, which is what we wanted the last 3-4 years between being an assistant and now being a head, national ranking wise from FCS to FBS, I think you're going to be highly impressed with what they've done.
I like it. I like what's happened today. And just for total transparency, as this kind of evolved over the last, 8 to 9, 10 days, whatever, and you saw the names that were out there kind of floating around. I mean, I was prepared whenever this happened to come on and just give an honest opinion, give an honest, assessment of what I thought, good, bad, or indifferent. And I was concerned with some of the names that I had seen about, the kind of guys that I just didn't think would bring the experience to the table if that individual had gotten hired or, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to go through any names, and I'm, specifically talking about coordinators, P4 guys, hot names, and that kind of thing. I was concerned, and I was going to be, pretty honest about it. Right. I mean, I really felt like that this hire needed to be different than the last time around. We needed a guy that had some head coaching experience, that TD, to your point, knows the G5 level, the landscape, how to do more with less, right? I mean, because that's kind of what it is. I mean, you hate to think of it that way, but somebody who's had to battle, do those kind of things. And I think when I saw this today, and I know that, Coach Beard has been a name that has kind of popped up consistently throughout all of this. If you're following social media and you think that stuff's accurate, I mean, his name has been out there for quite a while. And then when we all kind of got word this morning that was the name that was being presented for approval and whatnot, it's like, okay, all right, I like this. Because I think he fits the bill. He checks the box, in some of these areas like that head coaching experience, right? I mean, yeah, that overall record, it doesn't really knock your socks off. But then again, you look at where he coached, FCS, Missouri Valley, for Pete's sake, 8-4 in the Missouri Valley is pretty dang good, right?
That's a tough conference, man. That's a tough conference, dude.
That's like the SEC of the FCS level. And then, the transition year, you go 7-5 this year, won at Liberty. So that's another check for him, right? beat the Flames in Lynchburg this year. But I mean, he checks a lot of those boxes, and, again, brings that G5 experience to the table. No coaching hire is a sure thing. Okay. Just to kind of get a dose of reality. Nothing is a sure thing, right? We could have hired a guy. We could have hired a coordinator and had it work out that had never been a head coach. But I think this was the route to go. And TD, to kind of corroborate again what you were saying, I heard the same things. That every time it seemed like every time that Chance and those involved in this kind of spoke with people, Ryan Beard kind of was the guy. That's the word. That's the indication that I got, that Ryan Beard was the guy that they really just they couldn't move him off the table, right? They couldn't get him out of the way, and it wound up coming back to, if this is the guy, maybe that first choice, maybe that easiest, I'm not saying easiest, but maybe the most obvious is the one to go with, right? And so that's what they've done. I think this also offers us an opportunity. And I'm not going to get too deep into this because, I don't know how much, people would want me to comment on this. But I mean, I think this gives Chance an opportunity as well to hire a Ryan Beard to kind of get contracts and money right, football into athletics, where it really has needed to be for quite a long time now. I think this gives Chance an opportunity to bring Coach Beard in here with a contract that makes a lot of sense for him and for us. Right? To fix some things that have honestly, and I'm just going to say it, have needed to be fixed for a while. They've needed to be fixed. Football has needed to be under the auspices of athletics for a long time. And I know that Chance has gotten that, and that's why he led this search, and he's making the moves. This offers us an opportunity to get some things right in a number of different areas. So I am pleased tonight. I'm happy with this. I think, like you said, it's good. It's good to see the positive, on both ends. Missouri State, they're down in the dumps, but they're wishing him well. They know what a great job he's done. They're wishing him well, and our fans, for our part, that I've seen on social media, they are excited about this too. Almost to everything that I've seen. So I think this is a win-win, for us, and really looking forward to when he's introduced and to kind of listen to what he has to say. And I'm happy tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? It's on the on the Go CCU sports side, guys. Is really good and quick press release just came out. I'll just kind of scan it. Chance Miller's quote: "We landed one of the nation's best young coaches to be the head coach of our football team. Teal Nation will love Ryan Beard's energy, work ethic, and passion, and he is the perfect leader for this program. His track record of elevating teams, maximizing talent, and developing student athletes speak for itself. Everywhere he has been, from Western Kentucky, Louisville, and Central Michigan, to leading Missouri State through a successful FBS transition, Coach Beard has shown an exceptional ability to inspire, transform, and win. His trajectory in this profession is remarkable, and we believe his best years are still ahead of him. We are thrilled to welcome Coach Beard, his wife Katie, their children Bo, Laney, Jacob, and Kaylee to Coastal Carolina." He was just introduced, guys, in 2022 when he was 33 years old as the head coach at Missouri State. I think he's 36, 37 as he's taking over here at Coastal, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not a math guy, as you guys know. I have to do somebody does my math for me. But I think he's about 36, 37 taking over here at Coastal. And I'm excited too, guys. I mean, just looking at some of the things that have been said and being said about him, with his big energy, is what some people described it as. There's a few, not stats per se, but just some comments that his defenses at Missouri State broke sack records and helped secure playoff berths in FCS. And guys, like y'all were saying, Missouri Valley is the SEC of FCS. That's a lot of letters. That's alphabet soup. But that's something we're looking forward to, because we were saying in one of our polls just a while back how one of the things that people were looking for when it came to the next Coastal coach was an offensive guy, but we're getting a defensive guy here. This could be a nice paradigm shift for us, because we're looking at somebody who's going to bring in a strong defensive work ethic here. And some of the things I've heard about his offenses at Missouri State, they've used the word balance a lot. Balanced attack to what the offense is. And we've said this on our podcast here. If you can get the complementary attack of a defense and offense that works well together, and that can win you a whole lot of football games, just being on the same page, where you've got the styles that are complementary when it comes to that. So stuff I'm reading about Coach Beard right now basically it's a strong, aggressive defense with a balanced offensive attack.
So interesting enough you bring that up. That was some of the tidbits I wanted to bring up too, was listen to this. Ryan's Beard background is primarily on the defensive side of the ball, the offense style when he was head coach at Missouri State, FCS to FBS. It's characterized, this is my notes, high volume passing offense. Real quick, from 2023 to 2025, they were 5th in the nation in passing offense, 7th in passing efficiency. Okay? They had 306 passing yards a game, 424 yards per game, and they scored 35 points per game. He is known for explosive, pass-heavy offensive schemes with tough grinder runners. Think, dare I say it, you remember kind of the fun and gun days of Steve Spurrier down there, where they had a guy that could run between the tackles and pop you, but then they could really cut you up, right? Not air raid. Don't think air raid, right? Don't think air raid. Bobby Petrino has some flavor in this, right? The Petrino passing tree kind of coaching there. We all know there's some family ties there. I'm sure that'll come out and be talked about later. But he's at a top 20 nationally ranked offense from FCS, and it was already on the rise early in the FBS with TDS Conference USA. You still got to pitch it and catch it, okay? You still got to pitch it and catch it, and you still got to make tackles and stops. Talking to Chance tonight, Chance has committed to get he and Coach Beard on the podcast sometime next week or as soon as possible. His words to my ear. He's excited to get either them collectively or individually, hopefully next Wednesday or Sunday, the following Wednesday, to get him on the pod. Chance is excited for Teal Nation and our fans to really hear the absolute juice that comes through when Coach Beard talks. He's a young guy. He's energetic. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I like the fact I saw some videos of him where, you know, he pushed back on expectations of young men and student athletes and being community involved. Chance said he's ready to go from the black tie event to eating bacon and biscuits with people. He understands that's what it takes, right? That's what it's going to take. And he told me, he was like, dude, the line you said, you got to go from black tie events to bacon and biscuits with people. That's how it works here. Neil Hendrick said that. Brian Quigley said that. You know, Sean Season said that. Teal Truber. A lot of folks that listen and support, they have all referenced that one way or another. You have to be that way here like he was at Missouri State. You got to be that way. Or it just doesn't work, man. It's not going to work if you're not going to do that. And it sounds like Chance got a guy that not only wants to do it, that's just him naturally, man. Naturally. The video I saw, that's why I reposted, you know, he's got some dog in him. There was a video of him on the sideline where a referee was kind of giving a little back. He told the referee, be a man. And I said, okay. He said, be a man and tell me that. Don't tell him that. You know, because apparently I saw the full clip. The referee apparently was kind of getting on the kid instead of getting on the coach. And he told him, he said, be a man. Like, get on me about that. Little Mike Gundy there. So who was it that wanted Mike Gundy? They might get a little Gundy-esque.
Well, there's a faction of Gundy people, TD. There's just not just one person. There's more.
Maybe
there's like
we
a
can
Gundy
get Beard
crew.
To grow a mullet, dude. Get a mullet and a beard.
He's got a face mullet.
Man, that's all about culture, man. That's something we've talked about, and that's something that's always been big for me. And if you don't have culture, if you don't have somebody who understands culture, and you don't understand, you know, kind of the landscape around coastal and really around places that you have to go out and make these connections. You just, for how many times have I said it? You know, 50, 60, 70,000 people are just not going to show up every Saturday just because. You know, and you get people in here who don't understand it, you know, and it's tough for them. And we've kind of been there and done that and seen that and watched it. And so now it's very refreshing to hear and to know that we're going to have somebody who embraces that and understands it and gets it. You know, to all the, I'm an offensive kind of guy. I love offense, right? And we've talked about this, and I've had some debates, you know, through texting and whatnot with some guys. I mean, our good buddy Bob and I've gone back and forth. He's a defensive guy, and he's been hammering me about that kind of stuff, and I'm sure he's happy tonight. The analogy that I think about bringing in a guy like Ryan Beard what this may look like. And I can't take credit for this. Another friend of the show hit me up with this tonight earlier. He suggested a guy named John Summerall. When John Summerall with a defensive background went to
that'd be
Troy,
great, man.
and it just boom, just like that, turned them into something. And why did he do that? Because they got really good on the defensive side of the ball. They had a tough, hard-nosed running game. They had a good quarterback in Gunnar Watson. Kamani Vidal was their running back. He was a tough kid, but they had a bunch of studs on that defensive side of the ball, and they kicked people's butt for a couple of years. Summerall came there as a defensive guy, and they had good enough offense, and they had a great defense. And maybe that's what Coastal looks like. I have no idea. I don't have any clues to what it's going to look like, but I thought that was a really, really good analogy. Maybe it works out that way, but it will be interesting to see what the identity of this team does become, and I honestly, I don't care. I really don't. Have something that we can lean on and trust. I mean, if that's a high flying 47 points a game offense, great. If we score 32, 33 points a game and we just shut people down and we knock people down, defense, that's awesome too. Whichever one, I'm fine with it. But yeah, I'm really excited about today, and I can't wait to get these guys on the show. Talk, get them to talk a little bit about this. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and here's some reaction just from the YouTube chat, some social media stuff that's been happening since we've been on the air. Actually, we've been on for 21 minutes so far, and there's been a lot of stuff and talk going on. For example, from the YouTube chat, we've got a couple of guys who have said, like Mike has commented a couple of times here, that he's a Missouri State fan as well as a Coastal fan. Really, really good hire. Excited. They looked really good against SMU this year. 3 conference losses were really close and could have gone either way. So, even though we saw the record that they had this past season, according to what one fan is saying, is watching us right now, said that those games could have gone either way. So you're looking at 7-5 maybe, or maybe 9 or 10 wins if there's like a possession or two that changes.
They were only out of one. The only game they were out of was the Southern Cal game start the season.
Yeah. Somebody else, Dylan Richardson, said it was a big get for Coastal. Another person, this Mike guy, I guess he must know a lot about Coach Beard. His quote was, and this is a really good one, that Coach Beard's big saying was, "It's a great day to be a Bear." And he hopes he brings that to Coastal. I think that'd be kind of cool. It's a great day to be a Shant. I think that'd sound good coming from our next head coach. The latest quote: "Would like to see Coach Beard and the defensive staff see what kind of magic they can come up with so someone's listening in real time. We encourage that kind of stuff. Going to a defensive coach is a plus. Another year of our head coach." Well, I'm not going to read the rest of that one. So I'll pause that one right there where it is. I almost said something naughty. So I want to say this. This is from.
Did you see the other one?
Did you
see the other?
Yeah, that's why I paused.
No, I'm talking about the one about recruitment. Did you see the one?
I didn't see that one. Did you read that one for me real quick?
As a head coach, he also managed to get P5 quarterback and talent to Missouri State. He's a very, very good recruiter. We've talked about that. You've got to go find FCS talent in the portal and then go recruit some high school kids and go get some guys that are P4 talent that are going to sit there at P4, may not have any NIL money, and get them to come here and be hungry. And he, in the interview, he touched on this from like a year ago. I saw he's like, dude, if they come to here and play for us for 2 years and they go somewhere else because of NIL, I'm not getting mad at them, and nor should you. At the end of the day, my job is to put them, and y'all have heard me say this, put these young men in the best situation possible to be successful. And if that's 2 years with us and then they transfer because they go to a P4 school and make money, like Stewart, right, who went to Michigan and won a national championship, right? If the kid goes to a Michigan and wins a national championship, or goes to a South Carolina and basically plays about 12 plays a year, that's ultimately their decision. However, you hope it's the Michigan opportunity, not the South Carolina. And that sounds critical of a former player. It's not meant to be in a critical manner. It's, you want the best for the young man. If he's going to make that jump, you want it to be for the betterment of him, not chasing NIL money, but to go to an opportunity because he's done such a great job with us. You hate to say that, and I love Coastal. I'm the guy that you'd be here for 4 years, right? But I'm also not naive to think. And if we're going to evolve, right? What they say in Moneyball, Joe and Chili, adapt or die. This guy's adapting. He understands you may have a kid for 2 years. Let me go find another kid for 2 years, right? And so going into that, he at least has that energy and that mentality of we're going to do everything we can for this kid for 2 years. And if he goes to Michigan or he goes to wherever and has a great career after us,
Willie Lampkin, man. Willie Lampkin.
Willie Lampkin's another one, right? Willie Lampkin. Josiah Stewart.
Hated that we lost him. I was one of the toughest kids I've ever seen this place, but he goes to North Carolina and, equally as tough and finds a place at that place.
Losing them to P4 where they go be great is different than losing them to G5 because they're unhappy or because culture's toxic or because something like that. That's a fact. That's what I took away
happened recently, unfortunately.
Which is what's happened recently. And again, we're not piling on here. We're just giving you facts, man. We're just giving you facts. So how are y'all feeling about Coastal hiring his first coach who came up as a defensive guy, especially considering how y'all have talked about the fan base being okay with winning shootouts? That's a great Rex and Lane.
You see who that is, TD. You see who that is, right?
We just talked about it. And I'm fine.
I'm okay with it because this guy fits the profile. He fits the profile for what we're looking for, right?
Rex and Lane, by the way, TD.
Yeah. I know. That's a great look. Rex,
that's a good quote.
Man, it's a good comment, right?
Yeah.
It's a fair comment. And
sure is.
Yes. Clev Lubin went to Louisville this year and had 7 sacks. Like, dude went and balled out. Wish we could have had him for more than 1 year, but you hopefully get some of these kids for 2 or 3 years. And if they end up getting plucked away, you hate it. It pisses you off. What happens if you can be a conference? Let me throw this out there. I'm going to kick it back to y'all because I want to hear this. What happens if you can be the conference and one of those 2 or 3 teams in a conference that consistently gets to or knocks on the door to playoff? I would beg to say you don't lose as many kids. Why go sit somewhere else for okay NIL money when there's a good chance you can win a conference, potentially be a top 40 school, maybe pop into the top 25 every other year, every 3 years, knock on the door of the playoff and get in about every other 3 years, 4 years.
Wow.
Something
far be it from me, and please accept my apologies in advance for being cynical on this, but how much longer are the G5/6s going to have access to this playoff? That's what I want to, those are things that are out of our control, unfortunately. I think after, my disdain for JMU, and I know we're kind of getting off the beard subject here. My disdain for JMU is not a secret, but boy, I feel like I'm going to need to go wash my mouth out. I hope they just go and pound Oregon. I really do. And just to shut some of those people up out there.
Yeah.
Just to shut them up. And of course that again will give them more ammo just to try to keep the G5s and 6s. They'll figure out a way. They'll figure out a way. But anyway, you have a great point about that, TD. We get to the playoff or have a chance at it, have access to it. Those kids are more than likely maybe more inclined to stick around, at a Coastal, which that's great.
Joe, you asked me to cue you when it was a good time for your evil laugh. And when you said that about JMU and Oregon, that might have been a moment.
Hey, here's another good comment. This is why being a data-driven perspective podcast and fan base matters. 939 Sports. I'll really enjoy seeing how Coach Beard recruits the current roster. Would love to see our current roster maintain and run it back another year. I think under a new direction, he may be able to do wonders. Again, it goes back to culture, structure, and leadership, right?
There's talent in that locker room.
There is talent in that locker room. We've said that.
In the locker room. We had it this past year.
My brother, I hope he recruits more national talent. Good point. I have it on good account that there was a pretty defined footprint over the last few years that they were hard and fast after, and there was areas and voids of talent and geography. See if I can say this political, that just they wouldn't go see. And I'm hoping with what Coach Beard brings, being a Missouri Valley type guy, footprint guy, maybe he can sway some guys from the Mississippi Delta, Missouri Valley area, right? That Mississippi area down into Texas. Maybe he can sway some guys to the East Coast, right? Because he's got relationships. Western Kentucky, Central Michigan, Missouri State, right? Maybe some of those ties and those recruitment grounds there, coupled with the fertile grounds of the overall Southeast, maybe that helps make things happen for us from a recruitment perspective. Because in the words of Mack Brown, when we had great talent in Texas, we had great teams. And when we had not very good talent in Texas, we didn't have very good teams.
That's pretty deep. I will say that I got a tweet from Dr. Weinbreak. Coach Beer is a leader of character, energy, and vision. His commitment to the student athlete's success aligns perfectly with the mission and values of our university. We look forward to supporting him as he guides Chanticleer football into its next chapter of excellence. So even Dr. Weinbreak is making a comment who I'll see tomorrow, hang out with. He's one of my new buddies.
Well, tell him to come on the show, Jim.
I am going to tell him. This will be the second time I've told him
on the show.
And we know you listen,
right
Dr.
now.
Weinbreak, so you're going to have to get on the show sometime soon.
Because I want to hear him talk about the Dominion of Old.
Teal Nation, Strut Nation, if you don't know, Dr. Weinbreak, our new president, does an amazing impression of Info Joe. And Joe, he's the first person to do an impression of any of the three of us. That you're like immortalized now.
I just texted him and said, got to have you on next week. We could have a busy week. Coach Gray, I've texted him a few times. He's trying to work it out. Sundays are going to be better. If not this Sunday, the following Sunday. So listen, like between this pod, this Sunday, Wednesday, following Sunday, you could end up having Chance, Coach Beard, the president, Coach Gray. I mean, the next 3-4 pods could get real fun.
We're about to go big time, guys.
It's
wait and see.
Man, it's going to be something. But here's the thing. What's happened right now in this moment? Like, let's take a breath, reflect on, and really value the moment at hand. There's instantaneous freaking juice in the program with this hire. There's instantaneous juice in the program. I don't know if you heard that, but
no, I just wanted to put this on the screen real quick.
Instantaneous friggin' juice. I mean, it just look at you. Did you see this? My brother just texted me. Have you seen his former players leaving for some of his current players are saying go be great. Players are telling their coach go be great. Now, probably because they're going to hit the portal too. But what players do that? Players that appreciate, love, trust, and respect their coach.
Culture, man. That's why
culture.
They do it.
We wanted a culture guy. It sounds like preliminarily on the surface, we got that.
The early returns are very promising. That they really are. You know, and I want to congratulate Chance too. Didn't know where this was going for a little bit, as a lot of us didn't know, and we tried to, keep a lid on things and not try to get out there ahead of anything and speculate. But I congratulate Chance I feel like a job well done here. Taking his time and I think making what seems to be right now. And again, coaching hiring for anything like we talked about is kind of a crapshoot. You don't really know till you get something out there and you see what it's like. But I congratulate Chance on taking his time and doing the due diligence. And like you talked about, TD, 30 plus candidates, and the one that was the standout of the standouts, the one that was the most obvious is the one they circle back to. And I think it's a job well done, and looking forward to seeing what Coach Beard does when he hits the ground running. Very excited about this.
Teal cheeks and teal seats. We owe him now the opportunity in our Tom Talent Treasure to go and put your teal cheeks in teal seats, right? There better be for that opening game. I can't remember. Is it Fordham or whoever it is next year? There better be 22,000 strong in that stadium, right? Show him a good response. Come out. Real quick, somebody said I don't think Beard was there during the transition at WKU. That's correct. That he was not. He was at the transition at Missouri State. So Mike, we were referencing the transition that Missouri State went from the Missouri Valley to Conference USA, and so that's that. Yeah, he was part of that. So great engagement on YouTube tonight, man. Great engagement there on X. Man, this is wonderful. This is what this is about, man.
And for those who might remember the name Patrick Ransdell, he is now on the market for a new head coach. Patrick Ransdell was here from 07 to 11 at Coastal, and I remember him. Good dude. And he has now worked his way up through athletics and is the Missouri State director of athletics. And now he has to go out and find him a new head coach, and I'm sure he'll do a great job in that. So it's kind of interesting how some of these paths cross, right, and some of these worlds collide and things like this.
And TD, to answer your question about the games, Coastal opens next season at West Virginia on the 5th of September, but they're back home on the 12th to open the home part of that schedule against Fordham. So you were correct.
Did you see the tweet by Dr. Michael Benson, former prez of the university? We look forward to welcoming Coastal football and new head football coach Ryan Beard and all of Teal Nation in Morgantown next September when you play WVU football. That's also somebody who cares about what we're doing. He's in Morgantown, man. This is good momentum, man. This is great. This is what you want to see, man.
Joe and TD, I don't know about y'all, but when he finally gets here and when we have a chance to see him face to face, Joe and TD, I'm going to see if he wants to have a glass of Savannah Sweet Tea with me. Savannah Sweet Tea Company is low country born, low country made. Flavors like sweet, peach, and unsweetened tea available now. Brewed hot with pure cane sugar just like mama made it. Visit savsweetteaco.com. Use the code SHOTSUP for 10% off your order. That was a good segue, Joe, wasn't it?
It was. And Chili, I'll tell you this, after we have some Savannah Sweet Tea, I'm going to take him down to Hanley's Pub, CCU class of 2002, and tell him this is the official pub of the Strut Podcast located. It's right here where we are in Carolina Forest, right? We will CC you at your local pub, Hanley's in Carolina Forest, 3873 Renee Drive, Myrtle Beach, 843-903-4904. I'll say, Coach Beard, let's have some chicken wings here at Hanley's Pub.
Man, it never fails, man.
I'll just go ahead and do it because TD wants me to do the next ad, or you can do it, Joe. But we know he's going to be looking for a place to live. There is no one better to call than Dan Sign at Dan Sign Realty. The Strut Podcast is brought to you by Dan Sign Realtor with Dunes Realty Sales in Garden City Beach. Proud Coastal Carolina alum, class of 2001. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing along the Grand Strand, Dan combines local knowledge with proven results to help you make your best move. From oceanfront condos to family homes, he's your go-to resource for Myrtle Beach real estate. Visit dansignrealtor.com or call 843-455-6319. Dan Sign Real Estate done right, helping you find your place at the beach. Coach Beard.
Random thought. Lynn Metzner.
She went to Missouri State.
She went to Missouri State.
She was the director of football ops
because she just made a comment. That's why I was like, wait a minute. I was like, how about that, dude?
She was an original at Coastal.
She was.
You remember her?
She was.
I remember Lynn. Lynn did a great job here for us, and then she went to Missouri State. I think she's at Colgate now, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe.
She is at Colgate now. Yep. But she was football operations there, and then or assistant, and then she went to. I find it interesting. I'm looking at some of the names that are following Coach Beard now from our part of the world. And
I bet he got a bunch of them in a hurry. It's
man,
like,
he
look at
got
all
a
these
s-
people.
Just put your phone
he
down, coach. Just let it go.
he got a slew of them real quick. Chili, did you say he started following us, or who was following us? What'd you say?
Oh yeah, so we got a couple new followers today. Not well, kind of related to what's going on. Robbie Washington began following the Strut podcast today, and
Appreciate it,
so did
Robbie.
Coach Gray.
Coach Gray. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I like this right here. So on the YouTube chat, Joe and TD, Rickson Lane has been very, very busy with this. And Rickson, we appreciate you watching like everybody else we appreciate. Rickson's got a question. This might be a good place to kind of land the plane for the discussion this evening. So Rickson,
I see
thanks
it.
for closing the show out here. Rickson says, now that you have a head coach, what's on your wish list for the rest of the off season other than a year for Samari Collier?
That's a great question.
Look at Rickson. He's like the fourth member tonight of the Strut.
Great job, Rickson. Joe, you want to lead this thing off? I got something on my mind. I got something on my mind.
If you've got something kind of on your mind, yeah, go ahead, because I'm not.
Wish list.
Because he's already mentioned Collier sticking around, right? I obviously like to see that.
That's
Like to
why he
see
mentioned
that.
Collier. That's too
Rob-
easy. What's
Yeah, that's
another
too easy.
one?
No. Wish list. Retain the talent in the locker room that wants to be here. That's the first one. Second one is get out in the community, man. Get out in the community. All points in Orion, Georgetown, Marion, across the border bout. That's my wish list, Rickson. It's football related, but I know I've said it 100 times, but I'm not being funny when I say it. Go to black tie events and go eat bacon and biscuits with people too, man. I'm telling you, if he does that, he will win this community over, and people will flock to Brooks Stadium. They really will, man. They really will.
So
My
my short
wish list. Go ahead, Joe. You go first.
Okay, well, I've got a short term goal I'd like to see happen. And that's win the bowl game. Win the bowl game. Let's get some hardware down there, because I think
true.
we'd finish with a winning record. We call ourselves a winning football team. Bring home some hardware, and I think that would give a really nice bump and boost, give a nice big kick start to the next chapter of Coastal Carolina football. Love to see a bowl win out of this thing.
I want people to show up. I want to see packed houses at home games next season. I want to see that excitement that we have tonight, the joy we've got for having our new leader spill over into all the home games, starting with Fordham next season. We've got the best entrance in all of G5 and most of Power 4 in college football. I want to see that place when the motorcycles get cranked up. I want the whole place just to feel that. I enjoy going to home games in Brooks Stadium so much that I would love to see a packed house for a new head coach with new schemes, new philosophies, new style, whatever is new about him. It's all going to be there soon enough. My wish is for teal cheeks and teal seats all season long.
Perfect.
And God bless us, everyone.
Absolutely.
Hey, I tell you what, man. Just Teal Nation, when he gets winning, I want to end on this. Be humble, be grateful, be reflective. We need to remind ourselves of that, because the last 3 years have been 3 years.
That's profound.
Let's just say it at that.
That's correct. You can't argue that.
Nope.
It's just been 3 years, man.
And Don Hovis from the YouTube chat TD says, quote, bacon and biscuits from the Strut.
There you go.
I love that.
I do
I'm telling
too.
you, man.
Well, let's go ahead and get his shots up and sign this one off. We've had a great time bringing you our new head coach talk. Welcome to Teal Nation. We hope the head coach gets a chance to watch or listen to this at some point so he can hear, number one, our well wishes, and number two, the invitation. We want to have you on as soon as possible, Coach. From us here at the Strut, thanks for tuning into this special edition of Breaking News, Thursday night edition of a Wednesday show. Let's get a shots up, guys, and we'll call it a show.
Shots up.
Fear the beard.